Hey friends, it's Lauren Taylor. Thanks for joining me back in my craft room today. I'm so grateful that you have taken the time to join me. I am just going to have a little fun today, mix matching some of my favorite, well, a few of my favorite, I have a lot of favorite fandom companies to make a couple personalized cards. So I'm just showing you some of the stamp sets I'm going to be using. I have the Galactic Adventures the Third from Kindred Stamps, as well as the Galactic Travel Stamp set. I'm also using my Warp Speed hot foil plate and my Galactic paper pad. Those are all for the first card. For my second card is more of the mix matching. I'm using the One with a Friend stamp set. I'm also using my frame die set from Ink Road. And then I have this brand new die set from Scrappy Boy Stamps. It's called I'll Be There For You Couch. And I also have some paper from Ink Road. This is the Friends paper pack. From Ink Road, 6x8 size. So my first card I'm going to make today is not really mix matching. It's all from Kindred Stamps. And then my second card I will mix match to create a couple, I would say customized birthday cards. I'm making these with the intent of giving to someone specific. So for my first one, I'm going with a galactic theme. If you haven't already picked up what I'm throwing down from showing you all the different products I'm using. But I'm stamping this fuzzball character, and I'm going to stamp him twice. I'm using my not Scrappy, oh my goodness, Sassy. There's a lot of different names in this video. Sassy Club black ink. It's my favorite black ink for alcohol marker coloring. And I'm going to color two of these guys in. I really need to be better about stamping and coloring twice, so I can, save one and have a cute little character or whatever I'm coloring for a future card, especially if I'm in a rush. But anyway, so I'm going to be using my Oh Hoo Hoo art markers. These are alcohol markers. You can get them on Amazon or directly from Oh Hoo Hoo themselves. I have them linked down below if you are in the market for some alternative alcohol markers. I find they're a little bit cheaper than your average marker. They are also refillable and you can replace the nibs as well. And for this fuzzy character, I'm going to use my BRs. I'm doing BR 1, 2, and 3. I will say I think my coloring is a little off when it comes to the actual character. I think I need to incorporate maybe some more tan brown rather than this, I don't know, kind of wood leathery brown, if that makes sense. Just from looking at him, I was looking at him while I was coloring a picture of him, and he has much more of a distinction between the light and dark fur areas on him, his face and body. So I will say I don't think I really nailed the coloring if you're trying to be exact. I still think he's super cute, and this is one of my go-to color combinations for brown because it's easy. It's 1, 2, 3. They all blend really well together. So while he doesn't look not like the character in this particular fandom, it's not quite what he actually looks like. So, I mean, this is a great color combination for any type of brown fur or hair. So you can just use this for anything else. I will try again in another video at some point. No promise of when, but another coloring, maybe try to get his coloring a little bit more realistic to the character, but he's still pretty darn cute, I will have to say. For his crossbody belt, I'm going to be using two different darker browns. This one obviously kind of blends in really well, but it's E260, and then I brought in E130 as the shadow. You could do these in the other direction. I don't know why I started with the light and then added the dark, but that is the leather part of his belt. And then the silver part, I used GG040. I also grabbed a white gel pen and added a few highlights, just kind of putting them where I thought they looked nice, really no rhyme or reason or light source. I just colored and added the highlight where I thought it would look nice. I'm going to use my Spellbinders little tiny scissors here to fussy cut them out. These are the only things I'm coloring for my cards today, so I just went ahead and cut them out, and I'll save that second guy for a future project. So now I want to make my own background. I'm grabbing that second Kindred stamp set, the Galactic Travel stamp set. So the the stamp set that I stamped my little character in, that set has been retired for a long time. There are other sets that have a different artist drawing of him. So I will link down the second set. It might be sold out right now, but there are restocks pretty often from Kindred. So just add it to your wish list, join the Kindred Stamps fan club group so that way you're up to date and in the know of when restocks happen. But I'm making my own pattern with this particular spacecraft, and I'm just stamping it randomly. I started at the bottom and moved my way up, just rotating my stamp in different ways to create a fun pattern. And I stamped that on white cardstock with my Morning Mist VersaFine Clear ink pad. And I'm going to run it through my hot foil machine. And I'm going to use Opal because I really just wanted it to be a subtle shine, not really a bright, vibrant color. I'm going to be adding some stars out of pattern paper, so I didn't want it to look too busy. So I thought this would give it a nice, that warp speed look. Again, that is the warp speed hot foil plate from Kindred. And that way it just adds that nice touch of shine without it overwhelming the card. I'm also intending to give this to a male in my life, so I didn't want it to be overly shiny either. Not that I think he would care, but I'm going for more of a subtle shine because I still love adding shine to all of my cards, but without it being, overwhelming. So I'll go ahead and get my hot foil glimmer system going so my plate can get warmed up. And while it's warming up my system, I'm going to add a little bit of ink around the edges of my card. So I just got some of these new scrapbook.com, well, they're not new to me, scrapbook.com ink pads. They were gifted to me from scrapbook.com, and I started with fog, and now I'm adding in rainy day, just using my Trinity Stamps blending buddy. I love those little brushes so much. I have a full set for dye-based inks and a full set for my oxides. And then I ran it through my hot foil machine, and I got that nice glimmer look. Now I was going to cut it down with my large rectangle from the Kindred Basics set. And then I was like, I don't know, maybe I just want it to be A2 in size. So I trimmed it down to be A2, but I'm going to change my mind later and die cut it. So I'll talk about that when I get there. I pulled out all of the star dies from my Card Basics die set from Kindred, and I'm going to die cut a bunch of different stars out of some pattern paper to create kind of a background for my Fandom character. So this is the Galactic paper pack from Kindred, and I'm going to do almost all of my die cutting off of this one piece of scrap where it has that warp speed look to it. I wanted to bring in some blue and have a space looking theme for these die cuts. So I'm going to fit in one large star, one medium star, and then all my other small stars will be die cut out of there. And I did one more medium out of this other scrap of space looking paper. So that way there's just like a consistent look for all of my stars. So now I'm going to kind of mess around with the layout and get my stars placed how I think they would look kind of nice. I think I end up changing it when I'm all done, but I just wanted a rough layout. And here is where I added my character, and I knew that I did want to trim it down. So I grabbed that rectangle die. It's slightly smaller than A2. It measures 4 by 5 1/4 once it's die cut out. So I'll go ahead and run that through my die cut machine, and then I'm going to grab another piece of pattern paper that I thought reminded me the most of that spaceship kind of background. That design there on the left, and I'm going to trim it down with my paper trimmer to A2 in size. But I am so stingy with my pattern paper, especially in these designs where I don't want to run out of it. I don't want it to be hidden and wasteful. It's not wasteful. It's not. Let's be honest. We're using what we have. It's not wasteful. But because I'm so stingy with my pattern paper, I like to turn it into a frame where I know that I'm going to be gluing something on top of my pattern paper. So I just went in a 1/2 inch on all 4 sides, and now I have a frame. See, you can't tell that I cut out the center. Also, when I glue my card together, I am going to use foam adhesive on my background that I made. So you also won't have a weird like level change when you glue this panel onto that frame, if that makes sense. Sometimes when you don't have a full piece of paper and you glue it down with liquid glue or tape runner, you can tell there's like a divot because you cut out the center of the paper in the back. So if I'm going to glue everything down like with liquid adhesive or tape runner, I don't cut the middle out. But if I do cut the middle out, I use foam adhesive so you can't tell. I hope that made sense, and maybe a tip if you also like to be stingy with your paper. I'm stamping my sentiment. I grabbed the Your One in a Millennium sentiment from the Galactic Travel stamp set. I stamped it with my VersaFine Onyx, oh no, VersaFine Clair. No, this is not a Clair. VersaFine Onyx Black ink because I can emboss with it, and I added clear embossing powder and went ahead and melted it down with my heat gun. And now I could start gluing everything together because I have all of my elements done. So I have a top folding A2 card base. I'm grabbing my tape runner and I'm adding adhesive to the back side of my frame. I'm gluing this down to my card base. I like to start from the folded side of my card base in case my card base wasn't cut down to exactly A2. I can trim anything off with large scissors if I need to. Now I'm grabbing my foam adhesive. This is the 2-inch roll from scrapbook.com, and I'm going to completely cover the back side of this panel and peel off all the release paper, and I'll go ahead and glue that to the center of my card base. Again, that way you have a nice little border of that pattern paper and you can't tell that I cut the center out of it because I am stingy. So now I'm going to rearrange my stars how I think they'll look nice. It takes me a little time here, and this video is already going to be long enough, so I will kind of skip through. But here you can see how I arrange my stars, leaving room for my Fandom character, and I didn't want to mess up my layout because I liked it a lot. So I'm going to grab my jewel picker and liquid adhesive and just pick up a star at a time and glue it back down. Now I will just pick up the large and the 2 medium stars just with my fingers and glue those down. I didn't use the jewel picker for that. But once I had all the small ones kind of placed, it was pretty easy to make sure I glued my other pieces where I wanted them. I will add a little bit more foam adhesive to this card. I'm going to use my scrapbook.com foam adhesive squares and add them to the back of my Fandom character. This really has a lot of, I was going to say volume, but that's like a hair thing. It has a lot of dimension on this card, but I am going to hand deliver it, so not too worried about it. I do like dimension on my cards, so if you do mail a card like this, I just throw on an extra ounce stamp so that way they can hand cancel it and it doesn't, you know, get returned back to me or make my card receiver have to pay for the card. So I went ahead and added my Fandom character again with foam adhesive, and I thought it was missing a little something because I just love shine. I'm going to bring in my pops of color in silver glitter. I just added 3 little dots where there was kind of some opening around the stars. I kept it very simple. I'm tapping on the back side to give it more of an enamel dot look, a nice dome rather than a Hershey Kiss look. And that will finish off the card. Again, this is going to a male family member, so I didn't want it to be too crazy shiny, but also still feel like a card that I made and that I love. And I think it's so cute. I absolutely love this cute drawing of this particular Fandom character. I'm not going to lie, I bought the stamp set just for him. So now let's move into mixing and matching different companies. I know that I tend to stick to like create cards with just one company. That's usually because of my design team work. So it's fun when I'm creating cards just for myself that I get to mix and match different companies, especially Fandom because I love it and I collect it. So I am going to use this umbrella pattern paper from Ink Road Stamps. Again, it's the Friends 6x8 paper pack. And I'm going to do some die cutting first. So I have the frame die from Ink Road Stamps. It is retired. She does have the stamp set available, I believe, in the like secret area of her website, and that only means that you just need to sign in on your account with Ink Road to be able to get to the secret menu, and I believe it's there. If you want to have it brought back, you can put it on your wish list, and every once in a while she'll bring back retired stamp sets. So that is available. Now I will say Scrappy Boy Stamps is coming out with a frame die. It's much bigger than that one. It's coming out later this year along with this couch die set. I was looking everywhere to link this couch die set for you and I couldn't find it because I bought this at the local scrapbook expo here in Southern California, and Scrappy Boy was there, and I was like, oh my God, I love this couch die. I need it in my life. So I bought it and I went to put it in my supply list. I'm not an affiliate or anything with them, but I, like to tell you where I get things from, and I couldn't find it. So I messaged someone that I know who is on their design team, and she told me that I just am lucky and got my hands on it early because it was at the expo, but it will be out later this year. So if you are looking for some of this particular fandom dies and probably stamps and everything, keep an eye out later this year from Scrappy Boy Stamps. Okay, let me jump back into the card. I die cut out my frame in yellow, and then I die cut out the couch pieces from Scrappy Boy in a kind of a redishy coral color. It's not quite red, but it's not orange either. And I die cut the couch details out of some brown, so it has like a wood look. Now I wanted my couch to have a little bit of dimension, so I grabbed another new ink hybrid die pad called Camel. And I know it's not red, but I thought having that light brown would add just some shadow to the red, and I actually really liked how it turned out. So I added it to my couch where there is going to be some dimension and the different pieces that I will glue. You can pop these pieces up with foam adhesive. I think that would look really nice and give it more dimension, but I'm going to glue them down just with my liquid adhesive because I will pop the couch up onto my card base. So I will definitely have dimension. So I'm gluing the couch seat cushion to the overall base of the couch, as well as these two armrest pieces. I love that they kind of just stick out a little bit, just gluing these layers together. So there is that dimension there. And then I will add the two wood pieces to the details of the couch. Now, the detail of where to glue these disappeared. It is on the actual couch, just the one die with the embossed details. So I did my best, and I'm pretty sure I lined it up correctly. I guess I could have just looked at the actual die, but that would have been easy. And I thought about it right now as I'm doing voiceover, but they're not that hard to figure out where they go. And again, just using liquid adhesive to glue those two little pieces onto the couch. And I know in the fandom, the bottom of the couch has, I think, kind of like a tassel look, but I didn't want to get that far in detail. I was fine with how it looked, but I was thinking maybe how to add that in the future. I don't know. I think it would look pretty with maybe some string on the bottom so it looks like tassel. So now I'm going to play around with my layout. I wasn't sure. The couch ended up being a lot bigger in the end than I thought it would. So I cut the frame out to be above the couch, but obviously it's going to cover most of the frame, but that's okay. It's a subtle thing and I like that it's there. I had trimmed my umbrella pattern paper down to A2 in size, so it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'm gluing my frame to be as close to the top as I can get it without being on the edge, and just glued that right down with liquid adhesive. And then I will pop up my couch with foam adhesive. Now, before I do that, I remembered that I wanted to stamp my sentiment on the back of the couch because I didn't know where else it would go because this couch is so big. It's great. I love it. But I don't know where I'm going to put my sentiment. So I thought, you know what, we'll just stamp it directly onto the couch. I think it'll look fine. So I'm grabbing my stamp set from Kindred. This one's called The One with a Friend. And I'm going to stamp the one where you celebrate, but it's a little too long to fit onto my couch. So I'm going to do some partial stamping. So I'm going to use my MISTI for this. It just helps me make sure I have everything lined up straight. And if I need to stamp twice, it'll be okay because it won't move for the most part. So I'm going to start with the one where, so pardon my head, but I'm getting that center to the back of the couch and I'm using the grid on my MISTI to make sure it's straight. And I'm going to only add ink, this is again VersaFine Onyx Black, to the one where. I went ahead and stamped that. And then I'll clean it off, move things around, and now I'm stamping you and then celebrate. also again using my Misty grid to make sure it's centered and straight. And I love it. I think it turned out really nice. So I'm going to add some foam adhesive behind this one. I went ahead and grabbed a thermoweb roll this time instead of like my big 2-inch one. I like to use the 2-inch one more for my panels, just because it's already wide and can line up perfectly on rectangular and square panels. So I went ahead and added foam adhesive to the back of my couch, and I'm gluing this, trying to make it even with the frame. So, the spacing above the frame is equal to the spacing at the bottom of the couch, and then centering it on that A2 background. This time I have a side folding A2 card because I'm going to put it on its side horizontally. And I'm going to use my corner rounder. This time I did, I think, a 1/2 inch instead of the 1/4 inch, if I remember correctly. And because I use the 1/4 inch a lot on cards, but I wanted it to look a little bit more wider of a round look. So I use that on all 4 corners of my background as well as my card base. And then I'm using my super sturdy Scotch tape runner to add adhesive to the back of my panel. And again, gluing it down, lining it up with the scored edge, or not scored edge, the folded edge. I guess it's scored, the fold of the card. So just in case I needed to trim anything down. I'm grabbing one more Pops of Color. This one is Royal Blue Gloss, and there were 3 little blue dots in the background, so I just covered those with the Pops of Color to add a little bit of shine and dimension to that background. And that will finish off this card. It's kind of more on the simple side, but I love that the couch is like the main character on this card. I made this for a female family member, and I hope that she really likes it. This is one of her favorite shows. But here's one more look at my 2 Fandom birthday cards for today. I hope it inspires you to get out maybe some of your Fandom supplies, mix and match them together, or maybe you haven't heard of some of these companies, and I hope I've enabled you to go check them out. But thank you again for watching, and I hope that it inspired you today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll click like, and if you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. As always, you can find everything I use down below in the description box. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye!